Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. New Grenada Prime Minister inspires local political hopefuls in St. Lucia. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 1st July 2022. Details when we return.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. The recent victory of 44-year-old Deacon Mitchell at the June 23rd general elections in Grenada sets the precedence for younger people to enter the political fray and influence policy decision-making on behalf of their peers. So says local youth activist in St. Lucia, Regine Montoute. Don Nicholas of the DBS News World reports.
Deacon Mitchell's National Democratic Congress Party obtained 52% of votes compared with 48% for Keith Mitchell's new National Party. The party captured 9 of the 15 constituencies. With a younger Prime Minister at the helm and more young people showing interest in active politics, local youth activist Regine Montoute believes this represents a paradigm shift to what obtained in the years gone by. Having younger people in policy decision-making positions, in her estimation, would be an advantage since they would be more in touch with the issues facing young people and how legislation could be tailored to suit their needs.
They directly know how the policies from government impact young people. Also, we now have the voice of the youth being heard at that level. It's not just about advocating youth advocacy on the ground, but we're actually in and hearing and feeling the penetration of young people at the table now. So the perspective of the young people is now being more respected, and two, now that you have young people in the spaces of leadership, you see a shift in terms of the policies and the way government executes their projects, and it is more, how should I say, youth-oriented.
Montoute is also happy to see more young women entering the political fray, since globally there appears to be a deficit of the women in politics.
So this shift that is happening in our country and in our region, I welcome it, I applaud it, and also encourage the initiatives like the youth arms and other spaces where young people are invited to give political commentary, political debate, and just get involved in that process where over the past couple of years we've seen such a lack of youth involvement in.
She is hoping that more young people will be encouraged to enter politics. For the DBS News World, I'm Don Nicholas.
The ability to track the COVID-19 virus is under threat, according to the World Health Organization, the WHO.
Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, made the revelation on Wednesday during a press conference in Geneva.
On COVID-19, driven by BA4 and BA5 in many places, cases are on the rise in 110 countries, causing overall global cases to increase by 20%, and deaths have risen in 3 of the 6 WHO regions, even as the global figure remains relatively stable. This pandemic is changing, but it's not over. We have made progress, but it's not over. Our ability to track the virus is under threat as reporting and genomic sequences are declining, meaning it's becoming harder to track Omicron and analyze future emerging variants.
With regards to the spread of monkeypox, which is now in 15 new countries, he said controlling further spread will require intense response efforts.
On monkeypox, While the emergency committee did not advise that the current outbreak represents a public health emergency of international concern, they acknowledged the emergency nature of the event and that controlling the further spread requires intense response efforts. They also advised that I should reconvene them quickly based on the evolving situation, which I will do. Furthermore, the virus has now been identified in more than 50 new countries, and that trend is likely to continue. I'm concerned about sustained transmission because it would suggest that the virus is establishing itself and it could move into high-risk groups, including children, the immunocompromised, and pregnant women.
Minister in the Office of the Attorney General in Trinidad and Tobago, Senator Renuka Sagram Singh Suklal, sought to clear the air on the judgment handed down by the Privy Council on the state's case in the Piarco International Airport terminal matter. More in this TTT News item.
At a press conference on Wednesday afternoon, the minister revealed that upon learning of the Privy Council's decision on June 27, 2022, to overturn the decision made by the Court of Appeal, she immediately consulted with Attorney Kerwin Garcia to provide a preliminary opinion on the case.
My office, ladies and gentlemen, received the said opinion earlier today, and as a part, I respectfully believe, as a part of my obligation to the state and the wider citizenry to be transparent and accountable in all matters involving the state.
Quoting from the preliminary opinion, the minister noted that the changes of the accused can be addressed.
The first observation I make about the Judicial Committee ruling is that what it quashes is the Piarco 1 committal decision of 7 January 2008. It does not quash the charges themselves against the accused in that inquiry. A discharge or dismissal at the preliminary inquiry is not an acquittal.
Senator Sagram Singh Suklal said other opinions have been sought by the government's attorney in London and Miami as relates to the interpretation of the judgment.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
In the meantime, the National Drug Council of Trinidad and Tobago is launching a TikTok challenge as one tool to educate young people about the dangers of using illicit drugs. Information coming out of the Forensic Science Center shows that use of illicit drugs is growing in Trinidad and Tobago, resulting in death from overdose. Here is more in this report from TV6's Melissa Maynard.
The manager of the National Drug Council tells us that the idea of using TikTok for its awareness initiative originated from a consultation with young people, as some of them are falling prey to drug use.
Now, what we found is that a lot of our youth are being involved in what we consider now the edibles, and we have the NPSs, and we want to be able to educate and engage them.
Ms. Shaughnessy from the Forensic Science Center says the amendment of the Dangerous Drug Act in recent years saw several new drugs being added to the controlled substance list. She warns persons against experimenting with these new drugs as it can lead to addiction.
Because of what we were seeing being seized and detected at the Forensic Science Center. So we're talking along the lines of these Zephyr pills, like the ecstasy, but now we're seeing all the new ones that we only hear about in the papers abroad. We're now seeing them in Trinidad, persons using them during parties, but we're even seeing them among young persons who are studying and trying to stay up late. And then we're seeing them being filtered into the school system.
She tells us that the level of potency showing up in illegal drugs can have long-term effect on the human mind, memory, and development. She believes that accessibility to certain drugs gives the illusion that it is legal and safe, but notes that there is no treatment for negative reactions.
We're seeing no longer cocaine and marijuana only. Now we're seeing the ecstasy. We're seeing methamphetamine 10 times as addictive as cocaine. We're seeing bath salts. We're seeing piperazine. So they're all mixed together. Add alcohol to that and add our tropical hot temperature. And you're seeing pictures on social media of persons going to parties and collapsed on the ground afterwards, passed out. Nobody knows what they have taken. Thankfully, so far, we have not confirmed that anyone in Trinidad has died from these, using these.
The National Drug Council will launch its awareness campaigns via TikTok challenge on Friday at the National Library in Port of Spain. Melissa Maynard, TV6 News.
Residents from the East Coast in Demerara in Guyana on Tuesday took to the streets in protest over the alleged release of a police officer linked to a murder of a young man from the community. Gordon Mosley of News Source Guyana brings us that story.
Some stores along the east coast at Demerara quickly closed their doors as the protesters, many of them on motorcycles and bicycles, continued their march towards the city. All vehicles were pulled onto the roadways in a number of villages as the protesters continued their march. In a statement, the Guyana police force called for an end to the protest, while indicating that the police rank-fingered in the shooting that remains in police custody. Quinlan Backus was shot 6 times by the police during an alleged undercover operation. 5 of those gunshots were to his back, while the 6th was to his chest at close range. The police initially stated that the youth fired at them, but video recordings from CCTV cameras in the area do not appear to support that contention. The police commissioner has promised a thorough investigation into the incident.
Bahamian Prime Minister speaks on the issue of crime in his country. Desmond Saunders of ZNS News reports.
And I'm not one to take any glee in the fact that the person who may have been killed is known to the police or is on bail. All lives are important to me.
Prime Minister Philip Davis expressing concerns over the increase in serious crimes gripping the country. 6 months in, the Bahamas is seeing a surge in murders for 2022, coupled with an equally troubling backlog of cases. Davis now calling on the courts to step up.
The courts have to pay more attention to persons who are going to be out on bail. The court has to take control, I think, of their trials so that people could have trials. I mean, the backlog of cases is just astronomical, and it's almost nearing the brunt of collapse.
Also cause for serious concern the fact that in recent homicide cases, the perpetrators are out on bail. The Prime Minister, a noted attorney, suggests speedier trials and called on judges to take control of the court system.
What is astounding to me, in my heyday of practicing law, I used to do murder cases 3 days, week long. If a murder trial takes a week, that's a long time. Trials for murder is now taking months and 2 months. I still can't understand why trials take so long. But that requires judges taking control of their court.
Davis acknowledges the administration of justice also requires the support of the public. And in that case, he admonishes Bahamians to stop making excuses to get out of jury duty.
The community, Bahamians, have to appreciate as well that in the administration of justice, they have a very critical role to play. And that is to be, when called upon to be jurors, they have to step up to be jurors and not be giving excuses. Because if you don't have jurors to hear the cases are not going to be tried.
Leaders have long argued that crime requires a multifaceted approach, and Davis assures his government is committed to arresting this vexing issue. Desmond Saunders for the Bahamas Tonight.
Conveniently located in the Grenada Shopping Center, for over 40 years, Food Fair has provided quality service at affordable prices. Now, grocery shopping is made easier and more convenient from the Food Fair web store.
Hey, babe. Listen, I need you to go down to Food Fair to get some groceries.
All right, no problem. Right away.
Thanks, babe. What are you doing? You're supposed to be going Food Fair to get a grocery, man.
I am, but didn't you know you can order your groceries online from the Food Fair web store?
Are you serious?
Of course. All you have to do is just to log on to www.foodfair.gd with credit card in hand, and with an order of $100 or more, Food Fair Grenada will deliver up to 3 miles away. And you don't even have to worry about your information, you know. Their safety measures are excellent.
So hold on. You just order online and Food Fair will deliver to you?
Yep.
Oh, baby, better hurry up and order, man.
I already did. They should be here any minute now.
Enjoy easy online shopping anytime from your home or office from the Food Fair web store. Food Fair, where you can fill your baskets without emptying your pockets.
am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.